We got a fugitive hitman from El Salvador, arrested while illegally hiding out in Seattle. People keep asking me, hey, Sean, since Trump got elected, have things gotten better in Seattle? No, they haven't. We've got protests. We've got ridiculous people saying ridiculous stuff. That's what goes on in a big blue Democrat-run city. But ICE doing work. That's the topic of today. We're going to go through a bunch of folks, criminal, illegal aliens that are on their way out. And I say, ICE is doing work. They're getting the bad man out of the country. Let's get into it. Here we go. Look at this guy. We're going to talk about him today. Look at this guy right here. That guy. He's going away. Child sex abuser and public safety threat. And we've got these four guys. We got some lewd acts with a child under 14. We got rape of a child, sexual motivation. We've got assault with sexual motivation. These are not good citizens in good standing. These are criminals, and that is who ICE is going after. But if you were to listen to the politicians talk, you would think that ICE is going after Granny holding a Bible while giving a Bible study. I mean, that's literally what you would think is happening. It's just not. An accused hitman from El Salvador was arrested hiding out in Seattle this week as part of the Trump administration's ongoing raids cracking down on dangerous illegal migrants, the feds say. And I say, good. This situation should have never gotten to this point. It just shouldn't. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. Since when do we let a bunch of people come into the country? I don't know much about them, but they seem to be authentic. So yeah, I'm sure all of these folks that I'm talking about here today seemed authentic to somebody at some point. That's the problem with vetting. We're not doing it. Marin Lozano, who's wanted in his native country on a spate of murder charges. All right, so he's a murderer, different country, including of a cop. He's a cop killer. This guy's a cop killer. Was nabbed in Tuesday, according to Immigration's Customs Enforcement officials. This is what I love to see because the left says nothing. Left said, oh, yeah, mum's the word. Oh, good Lord. ICE got another one? Oh, man, no way. Oh, they are doing work. Guess we need to go out and protest. Against ICE. Big, huge protest today in downtown Seattle because, people aren't working. They got nothing better to do. They're going to go down and they're going to protest, Elon Musk and Doge for basically, getting rid of the fluff in federal government, really ratcheting down on the federal government. Doesn't everybody want that? Doesn't everybody want their taxpayers' money to remain with them until they have to give it out and not have all these programs? I mean, if you heard the far left talk, or even just the left in general, you'd say, oh, it's out of control. Democracy is on the line and ICE is wildly out of control. And then you read these stories and you're like, oh, so they got a cop killer. Huh. Well, what do you do with that? Nothing. It's terrible. Terrific. This guy should have never been in the country. The 47-year-old's bust comes after El Salvador cops had issued a warrant for his arrest on aggravated homicide charges, which is not funny. It's just so severe. I mean, back in September of 2020, the Fed said, police then issued a second warrant in June 2021 for aggravated homicide, proposition, and conspiracy in the crime of aggravated homicide. Doesn't sound like a good character. Doesn't sound like he watched enough Mr. Rogers growing up, right? Did you watch Mr. Rogers? I did too. Yeah, he was great. Now looking at some of the memes about Mr. Rogers, he would be canceled like that because he says outlandish statements like boys will grow up to be men and women or girls will grow up to be women and have babies. Boys will stay boys and they'll be daddies. And that's just the way it is. That's according to, Mr. Rogers. So he was being hunted in El Salvador over the 2018 kidnapping and murder of a man while he was working as a police officer. Marin Lozano, who was allegedly a member of a Hitman law enforcement gang, was acquitted of the charges before a court later overturned the ruling and ordered a retrial. Other alleged members of the gang were ultimately convicted and sentenced to prison. Marin Lozano, meanwhile, was declared a fugitive after fleeing to the United States, according to local outlets. And with all these sanctuary cities, these guys can bounce around, had been able to bounce around, and if they got busted, they knew they weren't going to get turned over to ICE and get deported. Now, that's why folks are in the streets protesting, because they want to let a bunch of convicted criminals run around their community. I just don't get that. It's so backwards to me. It's so backwards to me. But that's the beauty of being a conservative podcaster living in a city like Seattle. I live in the burbs. I don't even live in Seattle. I go there fairly often, but I got content for days, weeks, months, sometimes years, Chop Chaz. ICE said it's unclear when or where Marin Lozano first entered the U.S., but noted that he came illegally. Shocker. There's a huge, huge shocker. Don't know how long he's been in there. This case is happening all the time. We're getting rid of the bad guys. Yeah, here we go. All right. This is the KTTH. This is Jason Rantz. Same guy, same story. News of the arrest comes as local lawmakers have prioritized legislation to help criminal illegal immigrants avoid jail time. Washington state lawmakers are prioritizing legislation to help criminal illegal immigrants avoid jail time. Yeah, this is just what we're doing in Seattle. I mean, Washington state. It's insane. This is nuts. Senate Bill 5103 was approved by the state Senate last week. It speeds up the process for immigrants to apply for pardons or sentence reductions if they are facing deportation. The measure passed on a straight party line vote. State Senator Bob Hagasawa, who cares, is the bill's sponsor. He said it offers a second chance to illegal immigrants. Why are we giving illegal immigrants here illegally a second chance? One and done. Out you go. Sayonara. Hasta luego. How about that? Adios, muchacho. I think it's just the right thing to do. These are Americans. They're illegal immigrants, not Americans. These are Americans who have paid their dues to society. Okay. Have they? They weren't supposed to be here in the country. He said this provides an expedited pathway to make sure that they don't face deportation when ICE comes knocking on their door. Aren't they convicted criminals? And they're here illegally? Yeah. Hasta luego. Right? I mean, bye-bye. Bye-bye. We'll see ya. Bye-bye. All right, that's it for... How about this guy? ICE Seattle arrests illegal immigrant Amazon delivery driver. An Amazon delivery driver. Just driving along, delivering some stuff, doing a little drug manufacturing on the side, just a little bit of child sex abuse. I mean, just a scooch, just a hair. And he's a known public safety threat. Okay. And he's hanging around in Seattle. Now, what I'd say about this one is that Amazon delivery, maybe he was hired for a third-party position, delivery guy for Amazon. Who knows? Who knows? Let's not throw Amazon under the bus, because I know Amazon's got a very strict criteria for vetting their employees, except maybe not the guys driving. Oh yeah, sex trafficker, child molester. It's okay. Can you get the packages there with your driver's license? Do you have a driver's license? You do? Okay. American citizenship? No. Any convictions? Are you wanted in your homeland? Are you wanted back home, wherever that may be? We're not asking, and we're not asking you to tell us, but we're probably not going to write this down on your file either. Bunch of nonsense, right? ICE enforcement and removal operation Seattle arrested an illegal immigrant from China who was convicted of illicit drug manufacture in the state of Washington. He's 42 years old. His name is Jui Hu. He was taken into custody on February 1st in Seattle. He was captured in a residential neighborhood while delivering packages for Amazon. I don't think there was much capture here. It's like, hey, are you Jui Hu? Yes, I am. All right, we're going to need you to come with us. ICE Seattle posted a video of Hu's arrest on X, which showed a shackled Hu being escorted by federal immigration authorities into a police vehicle. Can you imagine that on an arrest? Oh, doing work. Seattle ICE, doing work. Chinese national was wearing an Amazon uniform vest at the time of his arrest. Okay. Doesn't necessarily mean he's part of Amazon, and trying to give as much leeway as we can because we don't know what the situation is, nor do we really care. Out he goes. Hasta luego. Yeah, we'll see you later there, buddy. On October 23rd, 2019, court records show that Hu pleaded guilty to 2 counts of manufacturing, count of possession of controlled substance. He was sentenced to 12 months and 1 day in prison following 12 months of supervised probation, an illicit marijuana grow operation in Lewis County. He was convicted by the Superior Court of Washington. This isn't a great individual. Not a great individual. We've got even more not great individuals here. Let's take a look at these guys. These are the people that are in our community that shouldn't be. That shouldn't be. This is Seattle. Seattle doesn't have a huge population. We're not a big sanctuary city like a Denver, like a Chicago, like a New York. And some of that has to do with we're just too far damn north. We're too far north. It's too far to send all these folks. Plus, we don't have the illegal community here. We don't have, as many people as, say, a Denver does for El Salvador or, Chicago for anybody, or New York City. They just took thousands and thousands there. We get a few hundred here in Seattle. We don't have the resources to really deal with that. So I think you've got a handful of folks coming here because they're like, well, I hear they're not really looking all that hard in Seattle. Let's go there. But and that's why I'm doing these individual stories, because this is going on. Seattle ICE is doing their thing, and I'm glad. And this is what should be happening. But people literally right now, it's 2:20 on a Monday afternoon. Happy President's Day. We've got just a whole bunch of just whacked out nut jobs, otherwise known as Seattleites, in Seattle protesting against ICE deporting these kinds of folks. And Elon Musk cleaning up the federal government, cleaning up the budget. Yeah. People in Seattle. Let's check out these 4 people, though. All right, we got Pedro Garcia Lopez, 47. He's a citizen of Mexico, arrested January 3rd in Yakima, Washington, who's been charged with theft, lewd acts with child under 14, and sexual battery. That doesn't sound like a good individual. He needs to go back to Mexico again. Hasta. Ruby Geronimo Cruz, 22, a citizen of Guatemala, was arrested January 30th in Linden, Washington. So Yakima, Washington, east and south. Linden, Washington, north and west. It's on the border. Linden is literally on the border with Canada. Convicted of DUI with reckless driving, okay, as you often do, and charged with rape of a child. All right, so we got 2 child rapists here. And folks want to protest against ICE deporting these kinds of people. Make that make sense. How does this make any sense at all? You can't make sense of this. Yeah, but they might take somebody, off the soccer field during a soccer game. Well, they haven't done that, and it doesn't look like they're doing that. And it doesn't look like they're going after a bunch of kiddie, criminals. They're just not. They're going after people raping children. Manuel de Jesus Zavala Martinez, 40, a citizen of El Salvador, arrested January 29th in Centralia, way south in western Washington along the I-5 corridor, with several criminal convictions, including assault with sexual motivation. So he's beating somebody up, trying to get lucky, just boom, 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 boom. And assault with a deadly weapon. All right, so not a good individual. Another illegal criminal alien gots to go. Jaspal Singh, 29, a citizen of India, arrested January 29th in Tukwila, Washington. Tukwila, just kind of south of downtown, again along the I-5 corridor, charged with assault with sexual motivation. So all 4 of these individuals here, including our first couple, are just bad hombres. All 4 of these guys have some kind of sexual deviancy going on. So when Trump said, you're letting a bunch of rapists into the country. And everybody said, oh, wait a minute. That is racist. They're not all rapists. No, but there's a lot of them that have been let in. And ICE has got their hands full because look at this sampling that I just did a quick Google search. This is a sampling of bad guys you don't want in your community. You don't. Even the people in Seattle who are mentally challenged just due to their political beliefs, they're just wonk. You know, that's how Seattle ends up being Seattle, is you got so many people that are not firing on all cylinders. They think they are, but they've got all this misguided direction and compassion that just takes them down these roadways. And then they get there at the bottom of the hill and they go, how did we get here? What happened? And they don't even really do that. They just kind of ignore it and go, oh, yeah, homeless people in the park. That's pretty good. Oh, there's a fire over there. Oh, you're breaking into that store. Oh, okay. All right. A little child raping going on over there. Just a little bit of assault. We got robbery of, marijuana dispensaries left and right. Cars being stolen. I mean, the number of car thefts in Washington state is poof. You want to see the wrong end of a bell curve, that is it. And we've just got some hideous crime going on here. But our citizenry, they just want to pretend that it's all good. And hey, you know what? Let's go throw the football around. It's all fine. It's all good. ICE, though, terrible. ICE is awful. How's that work? Because I'm a real estate guy, right? I always tie this back to real estate. I don't know if you know this, but it is far easier to sell a home in a community that doesn't host a lot of sex offenders. It's a thing. It's a known quantity. Fewer sex offenders, fewer illegals in your community. It's a better community. It is. It's just how that works. So if you take a bunch of these people out, clean up the community, easier to sell homes. Weird, right? Because you've got greater levels of homogeneity, meaning people can just live their lives. They've got public safety. Everything's kind of vanilla. And that's how residential real estate should be. But it is not, especially anything close to Aurora Avenue North in Seattle, any of the condos close to the sections in Seattle, and any of the communities in the International District in Seattle. They're impacted heavily. External obsolescence like you would not believe, which is a form of depreciation because they are in an area that is rife with crime. So you get some of these bad guys out, it's going to get better. How are you going to get them all out? You're not. But what's going on here makes sense. And if you're out there protesting against it, shame on you. Shame. Because that's ridiculous. And y'all know it. All right. That's it for me on this one. Thanks for being here. I'll see you on the next podcast. Bye for now.